majority, and we have a quorum. So what we would like to do is go ahead and proceed with the Human Services Department. Jerry Snell is in for Ms. Norma Merriman, and so if you would come and be available for some questions and maybe some comments about the report, Jerry, we would appreciate it. Take it away.
First of all, I apologize. Had Norma been here, this would have never happened.
It's okay. We're scheduled to be here, so.
And this may never happen again. I may get fired. And it's spooky knowing that you recessed until I got here.
That's right.
I think for some reason I thought this was at 2 o'clock, and I was actually out killing time waiting for 2 o'clock to roll around.
That's okay. I needed 15 minutes, Mr. Snell, to figure out what this salt and pepper shakers are doing up here on each side of the
That is a good question.
table. So I still haven't figured it out yet, so go ahead.
Well, I believe each of you have a copy of Norma's monthly report for the month of October. And I'm sure you've had a chance to look through it. And I'm sure you have some questions, or this meeting would have already been over. And the sad thing about it is, if you don't ask me questions about family assistance, I probably can't answer them anyway.
That's fine. I think.
But we'll make sure you get an answer.
Yeah, at least we can do the report, and then you can follow up if we can't answer it here. But, so at this time, we'll open it up for questions. I know Councilor Baker has a question. Councilor Baker?
Burial assistance.
I'm getting old and I can't hear. Burial.
Yes, we're.
We have.
I read the report and all, but
After the last committee meeting, I gave you a brief review of what we felt like the burial program would look like, and I processed that through administration, and administration blessed it. Then I've sent it over to Law and Justice, and or the Attorney General's office, excuse me, the Attorney General's office, and they have reviewed it and they've gotten it back to me now. And as a matter of fact, we were just in the process of starting to contact our funeral homes. We wanted to have it in place by January the 1st, but that may be the major funeral homes. We will have it in place by January the 1st. And when I say major, those that we do most of our business with. Agents over in Sequoia County, Harts and Reed and Culver, Luke and Buell up north. Those homes that we do a lot of business with, we're hoping to contact them within the next couple days.
so they'll get a letter or a phone call within.
Both. What I'm going to do to those, they're getting me email addresses right now. I'm going to go ahead and email them a copy of the contract. Hopefully tomorrow, at least the major ones. The others we'll just send a copy of the contract out to them for them to review and decide whether they want to participate or not. I certainly believe that most of the funeral homes are going to be excited about it.
And then the second question that I've had about funeral homes is, is there any tarot preference or anything for the funeral home?
No. No tarot preference at all. It's one, we talked about this years ago whenever we first started our burial contract, and we had such limitations on the service that, once we told the family what we would pay for, that kind of narrowed down, well, it did narrow down their ability to select any, because it was all contracted. We felt like the least we could do is let them select the funeral home they want to go to. And, at the time we had contracts in every funeral home in northeastern Oklahoma. We still do, with the exception of a couple. We have a couple funeral homes that, one that we're no longer working with, and Green Country. And then we have a funeral home or two up north that have chosen not to participate. And certainly that's their privilege. It's unfortunate,
And they may or may not with the new contract.
And they may with this new contract, right?
Yeah.
especially since they'll have the option to go ahead and sell the family the services that they feel like the family, because a lot of times they'll know better than we as far as what the family can really and truly afford to pay for. You know, all we have to go by is the application, and a lot of times those funeral home directors know the families. They know that there's children out there that can help mom and daddy, even though mom and daddy's, you know, meets the income eligibility. In the past, they've never had an option. They either took the contracted service or they got nothing, or else they had to pay for all of it in full. And at least this contract will allow us to make, you know, a basic payment and let the family that have resources go ahead and select an upgraded service. So I think they're going to like that part. At least we're hoping they will. We'll know here in the next couple of weeks anyway. But we'll have all of them. We want to have them all of our major funeral homes working with us by the first of the year.
Okay, well, good. That's what I wanted to hear. Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions for Mr. Snell at this time? Go ahead,
Not really a
Councilor Thornton.
question, but about the burial assistance.
Yes.
Can we get a copy of that policy?
Sure. We'll make that available. I'll just email over a copy and they can share it with all of you. I will tell you that we have taken roughly 920 applications on elderly and disabled LIHEAP clients. And if everything goes as planned, all of them should receive their payment before the end of the month. All the elderly and disabled anyway. Oh, we have a few that are, you know, we're having problems with income verification and what have you that may drag on after the first week. We've had roughly 400 applications on individuals that are not elderly or disabled. And it'll be January before we actually start making payments for those households.
Good enough, Councilor Thornton?
Thank you.
All right. Got an additional question from Councilor Baker?
Not to mention a name, but we did talk about a fellow last meeting that was over income last year, but under the guideline. Did we ever contact him?
Bill, I honestly cannot answer that, but we'll do her today.
Okay.
Give me the name and get that thing.
Okay. We got an answer. You've got follow up on that, Jerry?
No, I don't.
But I mean, you will.
Oh, yes,
Thank you.
as quick as the meeting's over, we'll get a name and follow up on it. It won't take long. If it's elderly and disabled, we will have already have them in the system. We can look real quick. And if not, we've had several that did not qualify in the past that's been able to make this cut because of the increase.
All right, well, we'll follow
I
up.
know who you're talking about, yes.
He'll provide you the name.
I got
Anyways.
the name.
Councilor Jordan has a question. Go ahead.
Jerry, what does that put us on, the 920 and the 400? How much will that leave us of this 1.9 million appropriation?
We're speculating that we're not going to spend over $500,000 on this first.
Does it have a carryover? Can we carry this?
10% is the max. What we plan on doing is making another payment to all of our elderly and disabled the 1st of February. We're going to make a supplemental payment the 1st of February. Then we'll probably extend our crisis assistance program. You know, we may run it all winter because we're going to have more than adequate funds to take care of families through the crisis program. Then, of course, we're still going to have enough funds that we should be able to provide a reasonably good cooling assistance program this summer. But again, those are generally limited to the elderly and disabled.
We're not cutting off the application process at any point, are we, since we have this extra money?
Well, our initial plan was to cut off the application process at the end of December. But we always take applications on the elderly and disabled, regardless. Because every now and then we'll have one to drift in that just did not hear about the program. But, yeah, the end of December was what we had originally told the papers and what have you for all other household categories. And what we generally do is we open crisis the 1st of January, so when we have a family that comes in that...
Put them over there.
Yeah, we put them through in the crisis
So that's where our low
program.
income will go. if they fail to meet the December deadline, we could put the low income over there.
We probably won't cut it off. The only reason we do that is to give us a chance to make payments,
Right.
to get those payments out.
So if we do the February payment, and we do the crisis, and we do the cooling, will we be able to use?
That should
Pretty close to
run us
the
pretty close.
1.9.
Because what we'll do, we'll take a close look at where we're at the end of the supplemental payment process. Then we'll be able to calculate how long we can run crisis. Then we run crisis during the summertime too. And,
Now what we're paying them for though is just the source of the heating. We're not paying for, we are not buying stoves right now or anything of that sort.
No, it was just for the primary.
Yeah, could we use this to buy stoves?
We sure could.
So
We still have 8 or 10 of the propane ventless heaters. We still have a couple, 2 or 3 wood stoves. And, we've been pretty adamant about, we've had many requests from individuals that just wanted a wood stove to supplement their current heating source. And it's been policy all along that we would only provide those stoves to households that had no heating source whatsoever. And a lot of times it'll be households that used wood stoves, and their old wood stoves, and they're just dilapidated and gone. And we'll replace their wood stoves. We did replace several of our pellet stoves. And what we did for those families whenever, they just got tired of messing with them and we couldn't provide maintenance on them, we would agree to go out there and reinstall whatever heating unit they had and pick up their pellet stove. And we picked up 7 or 8 pellet stoves. And in the process of doing that, we've given them new propane ventless heaters. We've given, I think, 3 wood stoves back.
Jerry, would we not want to revisit the issue of supplementing their current heat with a wood stove, given the fact that most of them can obtain the wood much cheaper than they can pay the electric?
Yeah.
Would we not want to maybe consider revisiting that issue since we have this extra money this year?
We certainly can do that, and I'll run that by Norma and let her talk to the.
So many of them in the rural area can cut a little jag of wood off their place, or get their kids to cut a little bit of wood for them.
And that was one big reason that the pellet stoves did not work for those individuals, because once you're out of pellets, it's a trip to the local store where a neighbor might bring you a jag of wood to get you by a day or two,
Well, we raised it to 150%, didn't we?
Yes,
Okay.
poverty plus ticket.
For a family of 4, where does that put us? At 150%?
I can't tell you right off the cuff, but I would say somewhere in the neighborhood of 34, 35.
Will you send those guidelines
Sure.
out again just by email?
Yeah, I can do that. I'll send it out with the burial.
I'm getting a lot of questions about.
Because I did.
And I'm sending them to you all.
Good. I did have to resend those from the last meeting that we had. I handed those out the last meeting, and then we made an adjustment, which I told you at that time that would probably be coming. We moved electric into the same category as natural gas. And in that original handout that I gave you, we had electric and propane in the same category. But that was the only change. But
I wish we could consider, though, maybe supplementing their electric with some form of a wood burning stove.
And the requests that we've gotten up until is generally not from electric users. It's gas, propane.
Well, it's high too, so both of them are high.
The propane is, of course, the highest. And if you recall the payment matrix, the average payment that we're making for the propane participants, it's about $435, something of that nature.
Okay, Jerry.
Yeah.
We got a lot of discussion on this, and I think we've discussed it several times, so if there's any questions or any additional follow-up,
free.
we're expecting the policies to be redistributed since there's been some changes Jerry, I think that we'll continue to look at that and maybe offer some solutions as we continue to revisit those guidelines and see what the needs are of the people. So as time is winding down, are there any other questions for Mr. Snell?
Please accept my apologies.
We've got one more from
Just a
Councilor
comment.
Christian.
I'm encouraged that we've got the buffer with that extra money in that,
Right.
because I can see with the economy like it is and like it may become before long, that we might have more and more in that crisis mode to deal with too, Jerry, don't you think?
Yes, and you know, it's probably a good idea. We'll certainly relook at the December cutoff date and, leave that option available, because we can generally pay or grant a little more money out of the regular heating assistance program than we can crisis. We may do a modification on the crisis, because now the maximum payment is $300 for crisis.
Something to consider. All right, no more questions for Mr. Snell. Thank you, appreciate you coming, and if you need any help with Ms. Merriman, just let us know.
I'd say don't tell Norma, but she's already emailed me 3 times.
If you need any help there, let us know. All right, thank you, Mr. Snell. All right, moving on from reports, we've got old business, there's none pending. Then we have new business, there's also none pending before this committee. The next category is announcements. Are there any announcements at this time? Councilor Garvin.
That's some good news. In the Three Rivers District, we have a world-class cowboy. He won the championship at Vegas Saturday night.
All right.
He's #1 in the world bareback riding. And
congratulations.
that's what Jim Shoulders, he won 56, 57, 58.
All right.
And I think he won about $200,000 Saturday night. He's from Orem. His name is Justin McDaniel, and his Cherokee says 22 years old out of Orem High School. Another Jim Shoulders.
All right. Well, appreciate that, Councilor Garvin. Got an announcement from the Gina?
I just wanted to distribute or redistribute a copy of CNE's corporate sponsorship policy, which is our community, also our community relations, our community services policy, just so that you all will have this in your hand. The contact person on the sheet is me, because we're in a transition period for the person who actually does the legwork for this. But anytime you have questions or anything, just feel free to give me a...
go ahead and pass those out, please. Any other announcements at this time? All right. No announcements left before us. The next meeting is tentatively scheduled for Tuesday, January 13th at 9 a.m. This time we'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Motion to adjourn in a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Meeting is adjourned.